we'd like to introduce the referee for this evening, Mike Allred. Our opening contest this evening is scheduled for one fall with a 30-minute time limit. First, introducing, standing at 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing in at 205 pounds, he is the middle-aged business tyrant, Mr. Zero!
Is that Irish coffee? You don't even know how to read wrong.
His opponent stands at 6 feet 1 inch tall and weighs 189 pounds. He is the high-flying masked marvel, Dragonfly!
Well, there you see Dragonfly make his entrance at the old Wrestle Factory. I'm Lightning Mike Quackenbush, and with me is our senior official, Bryce Remsburg, who, yes, you may have just seen there center ring as a ring announcer way back on May 25th, 2002. This is the very first CHIKARA event ever held.
Feels like yesterday, Mike. It looks just the same.
Yeah, it's exactly how we look these days, isn't it? This, of course, back at 1313 Linden Street in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the back room behind Carson's Pro Wrestling World is where the original Wrestle Factory, not only where we trained, but also where the first set of live events took place.
You know, buds. You know,
that's right. Sure. So here you're seeing it, two debutantes. It's Mr. Zero and Dragonfly, two of the first 5 trainees at the Wrestle Factory, locking up one-on-one here in the opening contest. The referee, of course, is Mike Allred, because, Bryce, you were still in training at this time, correct?
True. I had showed up just to be a imposing security force. I got a phone call that afternoon to bring a suit because I was going to be ring announcing. So I had to call my dad and reroute him on the long road from Hershey to Allentown, and there I was in a way too big suit. And there's Mike Allred wearing white socks.
Yeah.
But the debut match in CHIKARA history, as well as you said, these two gentlemen's debut wrestling match. So no pressure, no big deal.
That's right.
That's the best that ring has ever looked, I think.
That is probably true. It was that ring, of course, set at a pony height, as we refer to it, when it's 18 inches off the ground, was actually constructed for us by 911 of ECW fame or infamy, depending on your take.
Not of emergency call fame. They don't do rings.
I don't think so. That had been delivered to us, of course, about 5 months prior in the month of January, and that's where it stayed back there. Now, of course, the Wrestle Factory, as you remember, Bryce, underwent a lot of renovations leading up to this particular event. There was a wall that we removed, CHIKARA removed.
Yes.
The students, we all did it, like with sledgehammers. We broke down this drywall, opening up a much bigger space. We painted the room black. You can see there off on the left-hand side of the screen a window which leads into one of 2 dressing rooms that were backstage.
Which were humongous, those 2 dressing rooms.
We were stacked on top of each other in the back there. I think the way it worked was there was the one dressing room where Reckless was, and then the other one for the rest of us.
Yes.
Yes. That's how that worked.
Covered by posters, you can see there. So and there's also all the rest of the guys peeking through the sides of the posters.
Absolutely.
Watching the matches. This is why there were only 5 matches. There's no room for everyone. There were these shows. I mean, now a CHIKARA show probably 35, 40 guys in the locker room on the show. These are 10 or 12 man operations. Very, very, very bare bones.
That's right.
And I mean, you say no one gets rich in indie wrestling, but oh boy, on these days that was even more so true, I believe. And the dragon painted around the siren lights, that was also done by the students. The entranceway you saw.
That's right. Yeah, the original sketch that was done there for the entranceway was done by a friend of Lovebug's.
Okay.
He came in and drew that dragon, and when it was drawn there, it looked so cool.
Yeah.
But then somehow once it had been fully painted and you saw it fully realized, like with the flashing light eyes, it was somehow not as cool as we'd originally thought.
No. That was something. That red curtain actually made it with us for a while. I think that red curtain was in it.
Oh yeah, went to St.
Emmaus
John's,
and Reading.
went to Emmaus.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
right.
as well as this. How long did this ring last, Mike? This went to
Quite a while.
06?
Yeah, eventually, because we needed, of course, to buy a ring that was higher than this. The
Right.
pony height rings are 18 inches off the floor. A traditional wrestling ring is 36 inches off the floor. We sold it to a group in Canada.
Yes.
But it was at least with us for 6 years.
Yeah.
That we had that ring that 911 built for us.
Even in days that we were using the other ring in Philadelphia, this ring still would go to Reading and Emmaus and Pittston or wherever else. I remember for quite a while. Maybe not Pittston. There was another ring in Pittston.
That's right. Yeah, we did. We had a different ring arranged for us in Pittston, but it did travel with us for quite a long time.
I came across this ring of like seeing an old friend in Ottawa, Ontario, I believe, in 2008. Hey, look at that! I know this ring. Put together many times.
That's right. Broken and repaired many times.
Completely split boards, broken cables. I believe 9-1 even autographed, if I remember correctly. One of the cross beams
Was autographed by him.
had 911 written on it, just in case you forget.
Yeah. A lot of the repairs, back in the early days, as you said, it was a very small crew back in the day because we had the 5 trainees, besides Reckless and myself, and then a couple local guys as well helped fill out the roster. Among them, the aforementioned Lovebug, his partner Marshall Law, who was really the only guy we knew qualified to fix the ring.
Yeah.
So every time we broke something, we had to call Marshall to come and repair the ring. And then, of course, Blind Rage was the other who kind of rounded out the crew. That's how we found Mike Allred. Blind Rage knew an official, which, of course, we needed for...
Right.
Those are an important part of the events. That's right, having a referee.
You saw the coffee sipping there of Mr. Zero. That kind of became Mr. Zero, the first breakout guy, I guess you'd say.
Right,
I mean, he was the first guy to get some press and some reaction these days, I think, and that sort of stuff. The coffee, and I think forthcoming here, the reading of the business section of the Allentown Times was kind of what made him stick out as a character.
Very much so. Yeah, definitely of the original 5, all of whom you'll see encapsulated here in this event. Mr. Zero was the first one to really get a little bit of name recognition. He was sort of flavor of the month for a little while. And as we were talking about an interesting bit of trivia, there were a few permutations of Mr. Zero over the years. Now, of course, one thing you'll no doubt notice here is the mask that he's wearing here in his debut match, I should say, is not the mask that he's most famous for. Because the custom mask that had been ordered from him from High Spots, of course, didn't show up on time. Imagine that.
Of course not.
So the day of the event, he had to improvise because his mask wasn't there.
Yep.
So I think it boiled down to going to like a Halloween costume shop or something like that.
In the mall, the year-round, this is May, this wasn't even Halloween time, but the year-round costume shop at the mall.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what costume that mask goes to.
Right.
But that's what it was, and I can't imagine it was good time wrestling on that.
No, and it was so, I'm sure you remember, it was so hot in that back room because we couldn't turn the air conditioning on. We got yelled at when we turned the air conditioning on by the powers that be. So it was sweltering. It's May 25th here, and he's
a lot of people in a small room.
Yes.
A low ceiling. No ventilation. I think we started opening the garage eventually. That's behind the camera you're seeing now, but I think that just for some kind of relief, we just opened the garage, which led to neighborhood children just walking in and watching the show.
They would crawl under. We would only leave it open a crack to get some ventilation going, and the neighborhood kids learned this during the 6-week run when we were doing the Fridays 5 matches for $5 promotion. And neighborhood kids would crawl under the open garage door, and as the show was going on, we're thinking, hey, it's starting to fill up out there. False.
Nope.
No, that's not really what was happening.
Right.
So, there's
Hey, look at that.
Dragonfly with a victory roll. Just covered that the Tuesday previous. Well done.
Yeah.
He should have tucked his pants in. You see that there?
Yeah, I saw that. Boxer briefs on Mr. Zero.
We didn't cover that till month 7 of training. tucking in the blue tights.
Fixing the someone took his coffee or spilled his coffee I think.
You're right, I remember that because the canvas stunk of that for a while.
Yep. Definitely real coffee in there. Mr. Zero really was playing it all the way. I do
right, yeah. That's certainly worth mentioning. Like I think maybe after a few spills, maybe we decided
maybe
sitting with hot coffee in the ring was not such a hot idea after all.
That was one of many instances that canvas came across. Much later was a very bloody nose of Kid Kruel. Remember that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Probably the worst that this canvas in particular suffered was on the day of a new trainee beginning. He was very, very nervous. I don't know if you were there for that, Bryce, but prior to his first training session, he had only thought to consume pineapples and salsa. And he proceeded to vomit them about midway through practice all over the canvas. And for about 2 weeks, that back room, they smelled of pineapples. Like, it didn't have a vomit smell to it. It just smelled of pineapples. And people think, oh, that's a nice scent.
No.
Not when you know the story.
No. Not when vomit's involved. Now these guys taken to the floor here. Oh!
Into the ring post.
Pretty lively crowd here, actually. It's for a first show.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I guess we ran 6 events here before we ran into our issues with the zoning board that brought this to a screeching halt at the end of June. This was the biggest. Second, of course, would have been the event where La Parka appeared.
Yep.
But the debut event drew the biggest in the Wrestle Factory history.
Yeah. I'd say, what, 125 people or so in a very small room?
Yeah, just eyeballing it.
The bleachers were built too, right?
That's right.
That you're seeing across from the...
Yeah, speaking about being a handy guy, in the same day as this event, martial law built those bleachers. That same day we finished painting it, and there was some other last bit. Like, we might have only just finished tearing down the wall just in time for the event. And of course, there were some other independent wrestlers who had been booked for the event, in particular, guys by the name of CM Punk, Chris Hero, and Colt Cabana, the then Gold Bond Mafia. And they came in on a very tiresome trip from the Midwest, of course. And I remember, it's utter chaos. This is our first event, you know, we're nowhere close to being ready. And Reckless came to me and he said, hey, Mike, the Midwest car is finally here, but they really need to go and eat, so I'm going to show them where there's a local restaurant before the event. And then Tom vanished for about 2 hours. That was...
there are legendary stories as well as Tom and the CHIKARA company credit card in tow at the old the Ham Fam up the street in Allentown. So that's cool, you know, no big deal. Sort of,
whoa, crazy looking springboard bulldog from Dragonfly. In the course of 2000, by the end of 2002, of course, if I'm not mistaken, Dragonfly had entered into semi-retirement. He only wrestled, what do you think it was, 4 or 5 matches total before?
I think that's about right. I don't. He even. Oh, there's a
Blue Thunder Bomb.
Yeah. Even when a lot of the guys were playing out, and I know that Ultramantis, Icarus, Ichabod, Slayne, Hallowicked went out to IWA this summer. Dragonfly was not on really those trips. I think he kind of
had to take Zane Madrox in his place.
Yeah, he had 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out the door, pretty much right away.
Yeah, he obviously he certainly had a lot of potential, and which is not to say that potential went unrealized, but in the course of 4 to 5 matches, you know, a lot of these guys went on to have, you know, dozens and dozens, or if not hundreds and hundreds of matches over the course of their career. Look at that. You can see pretty early on here, he's a very capable, very athletic guy.
Even with pulling away from the ropes there. 1 count, that's all that gets. Dragonfly resurfaced as well in 2008, 2009.
Yeah, he did, as a matter of fact.
Saw him in Easton once and Reading once. And I mean, for a guy that a 6-year layoff, looked very capable, very impressive in those outings.
Look at this here, the release German suplex all the way over.
Dragonfly returned to wrestle Rorschach in Reading. Rorschach, I believe, was a sound guy this evening, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, an interesting bit of trivia.
I'm not sure. I'm
not sure of that either. Yeah, he was in the 3rd class. It was definitely a little while. There you go. The last shaven unicorn drop. The calling card of Mr. Zero. 11:29 was the time of the fall. That's a long time for 2 relative rookies to be out there.
Relative rookies? They were
absolute rookies at this time. They were as rookie gets.
Yeah.
happened there? Yo, you the captain. Why you wearing a white t-shirt, dog?
My name is Mike Quackenbush. I am the captain of the BTS. And first and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here for our very first show at CHIKARA Wrestle Factory. We're trying to do something a little bit different than what you might see with every other independent. We appreciate you coming out to support us. Now, yes, the Chief Pop, thank you. If you'll allow me, I want to turn my attention to three gentlemen who are in the back. The Gold Bond Mafia.
Mike Quackenbush.
Be my guest.
I get the feeling you were about to say some unpleasant things about the Midwest and my two brothers back there, Chris Hero and Colt Cabana. The fact of the matter is, Mike Quackenbush, we have much love for the East Coast. No, really. It doesn't matter that it's a little bit dirtier than the Midwest. It doesn't matter that the overall GPA of all your school children is just a little bit lower than that of the Midwest. Quack, it doesn't matter that all the women are just a little, that all the women are a lot uglier than the women in the Midwest. It doesn't matter.
I hope your house gets destroyed by a tornado.
Hey, buddy, you ever hear that rumor that the East Coast is going to break up and fall into the ocean? It's because your butt is so large, it's going to weigh the entire East Coast down. You're like a gigantic, fleshy pink anchor, weighing all these people down.
Don't choke on Quackenbush's load.
But Quack, all that stuff doesn't matter, you see, because we're friends. I like you, Mike Quackenbush. I respect you. I know, I'm a nice guy. Some of you might not know, but I'm a proud member of PETA. I don't harm animals. I'm a vegan. I don't even eat animals.
Turn the sound off.
Mike Quackenbush, I've come out here with my compadres from the Midwest to offer a handshake of friendship. There doesn't need to be any. Sucker! What's up now? What's up now, Quack? What's up now? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're gonna stand there and you're gonna listen to me tell you that I have no heat with you because I hate you. I hate the entire East Coast. some of the things you were saying about the East Coast and how the Midwest is better. Let me tell you a little story about a certain game that happened at the beginning of the year called the Super Bowl. And a team from the Midwest, the unbeatable St. Louis Rams. And they went in against the New England Patriots. And who won? East Coast won. Obviously, CM Punk can't do anything on his own without his two little girlfriends. Now, tonight, you're not going to be fighting Lightning Mike Quackenbush by himself. You're going to be fighting all three of us in this ring. And we're going to show you what the East Coast is all about. CHIKARA Wrestle Factory! This is how it goes ever since the dawn of time. The East Coast and the Midwest have been worn it out. And let me just tell you, myself, Montoya, and Mike Quackenbush led the charge over and over again out in the Midwest and stomped you guys into the ground and showed you that we are the best in this country. And don't think for one moment, here in Allentown, Pennsylvania, 30 Linden Street, we won't do it for you people tonight, too. What do you say? But when the six of us are in here, it will be transformed into the Butt Kick Cafe, and punks, we're feeding you the all-you-can-eat special. Oh my God! Our three individuals walk through that curtain. Not only will we kill your heroes, but you will all stand up on your chairs and you will put your heads together and show respect for the Midwest for being free. Just like Brady Greenfield, you people will do whatever I say. Introducing first, at a total combined weight of 366 pounds, the dark minion of the underworld, Hallowicked, and his partner, the evil zombie, press of the grave, Ichabod Slayne, collectively known as the team of Night Shift.
Here we are, the second match on the very first Chikara event of all time. Beauty and the Beast, as they were known. Martial Law is in the corner. Lovebug is in the ring, taking on the debuting Night Shift. That's Ichabod Slayne in the ring, of course, now better known as Icarus. And Hallowicked, his partner, is on the apron.
Better known as Hallowicked these days.
He is.
Who was Beauty and who was the Beast, Mike? Did we ever figure that out?
I believe Martial Law was the Beast.
Okay. I guess I can get behind that. Ichabod Slayne here, even, I believe, with this mask, I think maybe it was the second week, we'll find out later, that he cut out the top of the mask.
That's
so
right.
his hair, he couldn't put his mask on right over his long, luxurious locks, which he has since lost twice in a Chikara ring.
Succession of atomic drops here. Now, it's certainly worth noting that the building where we are that housed the Wrestle Factory, prior to the Wrestle Factory being installed, there was another pro wrestling training facility that was run by, this is sort of a trivia note, an obscure little tag team called the Bad Crew. And the Bad Crew were actually responsible initially for training Martial Law and Lovebug, as well as Blind Rage. Before, as things just happened to work out, I ended up taking over the training at their facility, which of course then, when they left, led to the, very easy entry for Chikara Wrestle Factory. So I was very familiar with all three of those guys prior to the formation of Chikara. And because they were all locals from the Allentown area, it seemed like an obvious choice to have them help fill out the card. And as we were saying previously, each of them also shouldered a lot of additional responsibilities that helped get Chikara off the ground. I think in some ways, especially Marshall and Lovebug are sort of forgotten. Most Chikara fans remember Blind Rage, but not so much Marshall and Lovebug, who were really instrumental in helping us get off the ground back in the Allentown days.
A lot of local contacts as well, as far as promotions and stuff were concerned, I think. Thought they were going to jump off in there, took off and a headbutt for Ichabod Slayne. We also even saw Martial Law and Lovebug recently in Easton, just a few months ago, helping us out still to this day. And I don't know what they came out to there. It sounded like Smooth Criminal. I don't know if that was Michael Jackson.
No, it wasn't the Michael Jackson.
It was the Alien Ant Farm version, perhaps. But
exactly
later,
right.
Beauty and the Beast came out to Mbop by Hanson.
That's right.
And then when they came to Easton,
so too do the Young Bucks.
Exactly, and that was
drama.
A very small point of contention in Easton that the Young Bucks now come out to Mbop as well. And it was almost entertaining to me that someone was at a wrestling show and didn't know who the Young Bucks were. Like, it's in a way that was kind of adorable. Like, who are these guys? They come out to Hanson? But a big help then and now, Beauty and the Beast.
That's right. Always willing to pinch hit anytime Chikara is in need. They've always been good friends and reliable allies since day one, because this is day one. You're seeing it right here. I don't know if you remember this, Bryce, but the dragon, the entranceway with the dragon or whatever that is, a demon head.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a dragon. Didn't really pan out that way. If you remember, there was a light switch which altogether would turn on the red eyes of the dragon, and then there was a smoke machine that had been jury-rigged in the ceiling. But what we didn't figure out, definitely not at this first event, was that it was just pumping the smoke up into the store in the front part. It was not. There was no smoke coming back where the entrances were. And of course, the patrons up front were wondering, why is all this smoke coming out of the vents? It took us a while to piece that together. That's how it was in the early days.
That damaged a lot of Bruno Sammartino figures and Ultimate Warrior posters.
A lot of bootleg VHS tapes that Vince McMahon would like to know about.
Yeah. There was even some in-store appearances, right? Some guys, Terry Funk even once?
You're exactly right. That's how Terry Funk came to spend time at the Wrestle Factory, actually, was because he had an autograph signing at the wrestling store out in front, and then he spent an afternoon with us at the Wrestle Factory in the back.
Yeah. Ox Baker, right? Once was he up there? Or that was somewhere else, maybe.
Right. That was at a wrestling convention where we had set up. Ox Baker was there, and he gave Tom the heart punch.
Oh, nice. Also, there was a in-store appearance by Grand Akuma and Blind Rage, I believe, once to promote a show up the street. We moved to St. John's after the zoning laws, after 6 shows, and St. John's is maybe 10 blocks from here. And to promote that show on a Friday night, once I was there with Grand Akuma and Blind Rage. They were lined up the street.
Really?
No. I believe one child came in maybe to buy who was hot that time in WWE. I don't know, a Stone Cold Steve Austin figure, and just happened to across a guy in a mask and a guy in some makeup, and felt obliged to ask for their autograph.
At that self-same wrestling store, I did one of my first signings, a book signing for Headquarters, which was released in September of 2001. So, at that time, plans were in effect, of course, to open the Wrestle Factory, which was just 3 to 4 months later. Two of the guys that came to that signing ended up being better known as Mr. Zero and Ultramantis. So.
In a related story, there was a Headquarters book signing in Philadelphia at a comic book store.
That's right, Ontario Street Comics.
Yes, and that personal connection with you, not to, but I mean, that led to me checking out the Wrestle Factory. I remember that day, my autographed copy of Headquarters.
And you and I, a bit of trivia here, we actually met previous to that in Lebanon, have we not?
Yes. In
Eagles Hall?
Steelton, as well as Lebanon, a international pro wrestling, run by Ed Zahn, a long-time promoter, I believe.
Ed Zahn and Doug Flex.
Yep. I had I was sitting in the front row wearing white jean shorts for some awful reason. They Reckless Youth and Mike Quackenbush match. And also, I had a Reckless t-shirt. I had one of your t-shirts. If I remember correctly, might get awkward. I believe my mom told me a story once that you rushed overnight a T-shirt or something so I could receive it as a Christmas present on Christmas morning.
I do.
Something like that.
I remember that.
Yeah. This is long. This is like 1999. This is when I was first getting into indie wrestling, and obviously CHIKARA different than a lot of indie wrestling, and your style and Reckless Youth style is what I remember sticking out to me as being 15 years old. These guys aren't like the rest of the guys on the show. Wow, look at that.
The Osaka cutter from Lovebug, the upside-down suplex flipped around into an ace crusher. I'll tell you a strange story about Lovebug. Well, not all that strange.
Yeah.
At the same event, just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, where I wrestled Eddie Guerrero, which was maybe about 2 to 3 months prior to this event in 2002. Lovebug wrestled Blind Rage on that same card, which was being overseen by agents from the WWE, including Sergeant Slaughter.
Okay.
And Lovebug, who at the time was doing the Osaka cutter and a couple of his other signature moves at the time, included the Superplex and some other things, they absolutely stole the show, Blind Rage and Lovebug. I wrestled a guy who did, his entire persona revolved around eating peanut butter. I can't explain it to you any more than that. And Eddie Guerrero was on this same card, and I'm not exaggerating or trying to kid you in any way. Lovebug and Blind Rage stole that show, and it actually led to some of the WWF agents had some very nice compliments for Lovebug, and I really think for him it was probably one of his proudest moments.
Great.
And I was so pleased to be there to see that, since he was obviously a very loyal friend and a great ally to us over the years. I was so proud to be there for that moment, because I think to him that was a real highlight of his career.
Good for him. This is before the Lucha Tag rule was, I believe, widespread and instituted. I saw a conventional tag there for Marshall and Lovebug. Also, wasn't that, if I remember, Eddie Guerrero was Intercontinental Champion at the time, and he was touring the Indies somehow. I don't remember how that became to be, but I remember being in Indy. Whoa! Marshall all the way to the floor of the Wrestle Factory.
Good thing he only had 18 inches to fall, but even so, I mean, Marshall was, I think, 310 pounds.
Easily. And the tape on the floor there you see was our version of a barricade.
That's right.
That was the line the fans were not to cross. Those lines with electrical tape on the floor.
Marshall was a big guy, and he used to, you may even see it here in this match, he did a swanton bomb that would put the fear of God into you.
I wonder why our ring kept breaking. I have no idea. But yeah.
More than the 310-pounder was doing swanton bombs.
Yeah, definitely. And Lovebug, no slouch either. A lot of power behind his punches as well.
These guys, Lovebug and Marshall Law, of course, they came from Hardway Wrestling was what it was known. It was also known as EWF, if I'm not mistaken, that ran in the Lehigh Valley. That's right, Bethlehem, Whitehall area. And
big splash by Ichabod Slayne.
I wonder why he couldn't hold them down with it. But it is remarkable to go back and take a look at these. You realize now, when you think about the gestation period for a trainee at the Wrestle Factory, because our curriculum has evolved so much and encompasses so much material, it would almost be unheard of for someone within 5 months' time to be ready for an event like this, because we now cover so much. You know, our curriculum had not really evolved like it has now.
Right.
You know, the CHIKARA style is very, very different in 2010 than it was going back 8 years.
And it was more, I mean, not that the show was scheduled early, but I mean, to have a show, you needed guys. So there was a sense of sink or swim there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
throwing these guys in the deep end. You see Hallowicked with, if I'm not mistaken, that original mask he still wrestles in every now and then.
Yes, he still has it.
Ichabod Slayne lost that mask to Blind Rage in December of 2002. Yes, that was our first season finale. We got picked up for second season, luckily.
Thank goodness.
Just barely, but Ichabod Slayne and Hallowicked were.
Look at that. Trademark night shift. That's right. There was every once and again, you might even hear somebody call it this. It was sort of an inside joke in the early days of the Wrestle Factory, if you remember this. The people called that the Burning Beavis.
Right.
Because of the burning hammer-like quality to the move, and people used to jokingly call Hallowicked and Ichabod Slayne Beavis and Butthead to rag on them.
They were inseparable in the early days of the Wrestle Factory.
Definitely.
If I'm not mistaken, they knew each other before wrestling, I think. Even.
Yes, they grew up together.
Yes.
So they had a deep-rooted history, and it was very clear from when they came to train that they had intended to be a tag team because they knew each other for so long, but they were so isolated from the rest of everyone because of that, and they were so inseparable that the other guys would jokingly call them behind their backs Beavis and Butthead.
I think Marshall and Lovebug were big proponents of those nicknames. Actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to keep in mind, of course, even though I'm sure to a lot of the people watching this, Marshall and Lovebug seem obscure compared to the CHIKARA guys still active today.
Right.
They had years and years of experience
Absolutely.
over the rest of the crew.
The roles reversed in 2002.
They'd each been active at least 3 full years, whereas, at least 5 of these guys are having their first professional matches.
Yep. Also, I believe Ichabod and Hallowicked in later weeks they started cutting their shirts up. That's a Hallowicked. You still see that to this day. But here, this is just a straight up shirt from the,
Right, I think there was
graveyard.
Like an 11th hour panic about going bare chested to the ring. And we better go get some black shirts.
Right. Both of them much more muscular now, actually.
Definitely.
Ichabod exceptionally skinny here.
And he had those full blonde locks.
Oh yeah. I forgot about this mask. I remember the one with the top cut out and the hair coming out the top, but I didn't remember this.
Well, they are the same mask. He just took a scissor. He took a scissor to it because he had so much hair, and that was causing him problems. But these original ones, of course, they are their designs, and there was like an intentional homage to Carnage, the Spider-Man character Carnage, I think, in the design of the eyes of the mask of Ichabod Slayne. Here you see Lovebug. Looks like he's looking for the walking crab, the king crab maybe, or a pendulum variation. That's exactly what he has, the king crab here. That's it. Taps right out to the king crab.
Introducing first, standing at 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighing 212 pounds, here is Kid Kruel.
We're off and running here as Zane Madrox takes on Mike Kid Kruel, as he was referred to. And I think you saw the referee found a foreign object on Zane there, which was a harmonica.
Right. And he came back from some candy from the snack bar, I think, there. He took a detour on his way to the ring.
After the strains of Absolutely Bill's Mood by They Might Be Giants, he brought a bag of chips to the ring.
I thought that was They Might Be Giants.
Indeed it was. Now, Zane Madrox is sort of an interesting trivia note in the annals of CHIKARA in that he was not strictly a CHIKARA trainee. He was actually sent to us from another wrestling school, Devastation U in New Jersey, which at the time was under the guidance of a guy I know very well, Ace Darling.
Okay.
Ace Darling, of course, is instrumental in my own training. And I don't remember the exact circumstance, but he felt that Zane needed to be moved and basically called us up and said, would you take over the training of this guy for us? And that's how Zane Madrox came into the CHIKARA fold. He was not really one of the original trainees. Certainly we don't think of him as one of ours.
Right.
But he did train with us for quite a while.
Wow.
Surprising agility there from Mike Kid Kruel, as he's sometimes referred to, who of course went on to greater fame, spent a long time in the developmental system for the WWE.
Yes. And really, I mean, just sticking out, the look of him on this show, you know, physiques and everything was never the calling card of the CHIKARA boys, but this when he came through the curtain, definitely a presence about him on this show, on this night.
He had a really interesting backstory to him, of course. He's a second-generation wrestler. His father was the professional wrestler known as Bodyguard for Hire.
Right.
And really, he was sort of groomed for wrestling from a very young age. He was obviously a natural.
Yes.
And I think I had the opportunity to wrestle him in singles matches maybe on 3 or 4 occasions in the tri-state area. And I always sort of felt that way about him. He was just a natural at everything he did. And really, I think a discredit to the developmental system of the WWE that they never found a way to capitalize on his talent, because he's an enormously talented wrestler.
Absolutely. I've seen him even in very different styles with different kinds of opponents, always making very impressive showings here. But I'm not sure if you ever encountered someone quite like Zane Madrox.
I doubt it.
In Zane, is that where that came from?
I'm not sure.
I did remember that the hat with the hair attached. That was always a reveal after the ring introductions. A lot of people didn't see that coming out.
He did like to eat during his matches. I think that happened more than once.
Yeah.
He always had some strange object with him.
Another friend to the canvas of CHIKARA.
Yeah. The potato chip crumbs being ground into the canvas.
Yeah. Also the Massive Skills Productions, the original.
That's right, Mike Skills and Bill Duane were our cameramen back in the day. So yeah, if you're wondering who to thank and or complain to, those people are Bill Duane and Mike Skills, who were with us from day one.
Right, but we thank them for this footage. And originally, a lot of people don't know this of the modern CHIKARA fans. The original releases on VHS, not DVD, were done with in the style of pop-up video almost.
That's right.
The VH1 show. No commentary didn't come along until 2005, I think. 3 years after this, and when a storyline point or an interesting move would come up in a pop-up style, which is a lot more work than what we're doing right now.
That's right. Those trivia factoids, each individual one had to be, created, spaced, rendered, in order for those releases to be possible, which is why it took months for them to see the light of day. And because it was so time-consuming, that's why a lot of the early footage never made it out into the public domain whatsoever. It was also definitely a thought that we would try, because so many of the guys were brand new, not to put a lot of footage of them out there while they were so inexperienced, for fear that it would hurt some of their market value. The idea, of course, was to get these guys out onto the independent circuit, because the experience would benefit them getting more ring time, and we felt like we should be very judicious about what footage we allow out there of these young guys, because obviously, this is it. This is the starting point of it all.
And these matches, just for the record, these matches aren't being touched or broken up. These are as is, as they happened in the building in Allentown that night. The plan was always to sit on the footage for 8 years and then release it on DVD. All along,
here it is.
We said, wait for 2010. That's the time. That's the time.
There's the Jujigatame, the calling card of Kid Kruel. His armbar submissions were always his trademark, and perhaps still are to this day. Yeah, those original pop-up videos, the VHS releases, of which I think there were 5. There were 5 VHS releases that we did.
The shows were combined, too, because 5 matches only, wrestling-wise, that was sometimes an hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours. So to make it worthwhile, they were combined with 2.
That's right. And every once and again, like a match was omitted or something like that. It was virtually impossible to get the shows complete prior to this. But as we said, those pop-up video bubbles that had sort of trivia factoids or took the place of play-by-play commentary. Of course, it was, very time-consuming and difficult to do all of that, but a lot of that was also done for the sake of, as you know, even from the very beginning, the idea was always to make CHIKARA very inclusive, and in particular, that was very appealing to people who were deaf or hearing impaired. As obviously live commentary or play-by-play, they miss out on all of that. So by having it there visualized in text on the screen, they were therefore included in everything that was going on. But it just ultimately proved to be so impractical. That we had to drop that, and that sort of coincided too with our move to Smart Mark Video, which streamlined the entire process. You were no longer waiting 6 months for a CHIKARA VHS tape to show up.
There was a gap of nothing though, right? No commentary, no pop-up videos. I think 2003 and all of 2004, those shows are just
until midway.
Okay.
When we began our run at the Riverside in Reading in 2004, that is those I think marked the first regular releases.
Okay, but I mean, they were still without commentary. I think
I see what
commentary started at Tag World 2005. I remember Dave Prazak being there.
That's right. Yeah, he was brought in specifically for that reason.
I'm not sure what Zane Madrox's level, experience level is here, but for the most part,
I think this is his first professional match. Yes.
He's hanging in there with Kid Kruel pretty well. Kid Kruel's probably been wrestling 2 or 3 years at this point.
Definitely. I think I first wrestled him in 1998, so at this point, 4 years give or take. Zane Madrox, occasionally lost in the ring, always lost in life. And disappeared. He did. That guy just vanished into the ether.
Yeah.
I think maybe even toward the end of the Allentown run, that he was booked for matches and just never appeared, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
He just vanished. No phone call, no letter from the state that he's been taken into custody. Just gone.
He had another booking, probably. No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I remember very distinctly, that trip we were talking about, where the first CHIKARA road trip to IWA Mid-South that Dragonfly was intended to go on, and instead Zane Madrox took his place. Look at that, strangled Gamma, if I'm not mistaken, from Kensuke Sasaki. Zane Madrox, of course, had to fill in last minute and could not believe that we really were going to drive 11 hours and was upset. The guy was always a little bit out of it, don't get me wrong, but he was really, really agitated at the idea that we were going to drive all that way just to wrestle.
How are you going to get there?
Right. How do we get back? Where will we sleep?
That has been beaten even, I believe. I mean, I've definitely, I know you, Minnesota, what's that? That's 20 hours? I think that's my record. Time in a car. That's a day, basically. You know, that's usually when you waste a day of travel, you get to go somewhere cool like Japan. No offense to Minnesota. It's quite a...
Zane Madrox was a man of uncanny strength. I remember that from training with him, and you just saw there the gut-wrench suplex, but he would pick guys up. Even in training, he was able to pick up martial law and throw him. He just had uncanny strength. To look at him, you wouldn't think that he's exceptionally powerful or anything. He's tall. But he was one of those deceptively powerful guys.
Also, the hat guy, the original hacker from ECW. See there sitting in the front row in his trademark Hawaiian shirt. When I first started out, I know he was managing on some shows I was on.
Yes.
Kapow, you remember Kapow?
I do remember. Kapow, in fact, was put on by the Ontario Street Comic Shop, that same place where you and I met.
Right up the street. Whoa, look at that.
Fans here are not really sure if they like it or not.
No.
I think, probably the people watching this release interested in the earlier days of CHIKARA can empathize with what they were going through, because a lot of times new fans really don't know what to make of CHIKARA.
No.
And that was never more the case than it was on May 25th, 2002.
This was a clean palette. Everyone who's coming in not sure what to expect here. He spoke about eating during matches now. Here he is.
Sharing his chips, I guess, with someone in the audience.
I'm sure that Tiger will want some.
Taking a walk. No countouts, apparently.
Yeah, referee Mike Allred, this was his only visit to CHIKARA. You'll notice at times his counts are wildly inconsistent. Now, of course, here we are 8 years later, and of course, I don't mind telling you, Bryce Remsburg is probably the most sought-after referee on the independent circuit today because he does such an outstanding job as an official. And if you want to see a really hit-or-miss job, oh, look at the chips on the canvas.
That's all you can think about. Immediate tap out there.
Yeah.
Jujugata hooked in. That was it. That was Mike Kruel's calling card, like you said.
Yep. Yeah, if you watch the job that the official does, no wonder you don't see him long after this.
Yeah.
He disappeared very quickly. I think he was replaced by Paul Turner almost immediately.
Who still works today.
Mm-hmm.
He is wrestling's goth rock monster, Blind Rage!
An interesting mix here in the ring. Bryce Ultramantis making his professional debut against Blind Rage, who had made his pro debut, I think, in the year 2000. Has quite a bit of experience on Mantis here. And one thing I'd like to point out, if this is your first time seeing Blind Rage in action, CHIKARA fans, you know, obviously you'll come across characters in the world of wrestling which are a bit of a put-on. For example, I hope I'm not ruining anything for you by telling you that Val Venus was never really an adult film star. He was a luchador called Steel in CMLL.
But Duke the Dumpster Drosy was a garbage man,
He
right?
was.
Okay.
Yeah. However, this is Blind Rage.
Yeah.
This is who he is.
Yeah.
There is
an angry guy who hung out in diners and drank a lot of coffee.
That's right.
That's very true.
He was angry at the world. You know, he's a reflection of his musical tastes, of course, and in my opinion, one of the most underappreciated independent talents of the era. He was a remarkably talented young man, and unfortunately, as you will get a sense if you have the opportunity to see more of him, a lot of the personal tragedy that befell him in his personal life sort of overshadowed what he did in the ring, and eventually, of course, he left the wrestling business altogether and is who knows where. I don't know anyone that has any contact with him anymore.
No idea.
But a very, very talented competitor, as you will see here, no doubt. and was instrumental in the early days of CHIKARA.
Yeah, definitely. He was the glue in a lot of CHIKARA matches. I know in the early days. I mean, him and a memorable feud of the early days. Him and DJ Skittles.
Yes.
The loser picked the winner's entrance music.
I remember.
Definitely.
Do you remember what
Probably
the music was?
The conga by
Miami Sound Machine,
who were in a bus accident not too far from here. But no, DJ Skittles probably had his best matches ever with Blind Rage.
I
think.
agree.
And a lot of these guys of these times. And later you'll see he was paired with Ichabod, Slayne, and Hallowicked to form the Night Shift. Was a trio.
That's right.
And
I think not long after this event.
Maybe
that
even
down.
in the very next week. This was actually a Saturday, as a point of trivia. This very first night was a Saturday, the 25th, and then the 31st. The next week is when the Friday run began.
You're right. The Gold Bond Mafia was not available for the Friday.
Yep.
And so you're right. Yeah. 6 days later, we had the next event, and that, of course, was the theme. The idea was that we were going to run all 13 Fridays through the summer of 2002. Until, of course, now you've heard us refer to it a few times, and maybe we should fill you in.
Sure.
We ran afoul of the Allentown zoning board. There were concerned,
We hit them below the belt.
There were concerned people in the neighborhood who felt that we were somehow like tarnishing the image of this section of Allentown, and they complained to City Hall about us. And in particular, the way they eventually shut down the live events happening here at the Wrestle Factory was that they claimed, and rightly so, that there was a zoning ordinance which stated we did not supply enough parking for the number of people that were gathered in the backstage area, not the backstage area, but the area here in the Wrestle Factory where the events took place. And that is why at the end of a 6-week run, we were unable to continue. We never got to the full 13 Fridays. The Friday night 5 matches for $5 ran its course by the end of June.
Yeah, I think we got 6 shows in. Yes, and from there on, there was nowhere to have shows.
That's right.
These guys, and it was a lapse of, I guess, until October 12th, 2002.
You're exactly right.
That's 3-4 months till another building was even located. I don't know how we found St. John's.
Yeah,
a great building, a building tailor-made for wrestling. I thought I loved it there.
Well, I'll tell you this: it's because Lovebug went to church there.
Fair enough. There you go.
Yeah, like we said, a lot of these guys were far more instrumental in the early days of CHIKARA, I'm sure, than many people realize. And that was a tough period in the history of CHIKARA. It really felt like things were falling apart, and it was during that period, of course, that Reckless resigned his position, and the second class was just coming on. That's, of course, Bryce and the wrestlers who would come to be known as Gran Akuma, DJ Skittles, the Wild Cards, and Jigsaw made up the second class. And there was a lot of uncertainty about the future of CHIKARA at that time, and it really wasn't until we got installed at St. John's that things started to come back together.
Yeah. There was uncertainty if CHIKARA was even going to continue, I remember, at one point. And this was, I think personally, the New York contingent of Eddie Kingston, Blackjack Marciano, Jigsaw coming in. That really that pumped a new breath of life, at least in the morale of the boys, the small crew that had assembled. I remember them coming really a bit of a turning point in those early days. And obviously put in fresh combinations in practice, and as well eventually once St. John's came around, and shows. Also that fall of 2002 saw 2 shows at the Palo Alto Fire Company.
Boy, did it ever.
The Palo Alto Fire Company was predominantly used for bingo, much like another arena that we have shows at. But the part of the caveat of running there is you'd have to come in the day before, Friday night, and disassemble all these bingo tables. 50, 60, 70 bingo tables.
Even more.
Yeah.
80 to 90.
Easy. Stack up these tables without harming one. The bingo cards were permanently on the tables.
Right.
But tear down these tables, reassemble the room for wrestling, then go home, go to sleep, come up on Saturday, set up the ring, set up the chairs to have a wrestling show that was attended by 35,
20, 30 people.
If that. Tear down the ring, reassemble the bingo tables as is exactly. The very, very strict
They had to be in the same spots.
The same tables in the same spots, exactly as is. And that was a weekend of our early wrestling careers.
A massive, massive undertaking.
Yep.
So, was run, and it really seemed like a no-brainer that we would go into Palo Alto based on the success that the Future Wrestling Alliance had there.
99,
which was
2000.
A group organized under the people who are now Smart Mark Video.
Yep.
they were responsible for the Future Wrestling Alliance, a company where I was the champion for several years. It seemed like, based on the crowds that the FWA had there, that was a no-brainer for wrestling. But unfortunately, between the FWA being there and CHIKARA's arrival, the group that was EWF or Hardway Wrestling went in there, and with a string of incredibly lousy events, really just burned the town out. And by the time we got there, there was no business to be had.
Right.
And it was a very expensive undertaking to attempt Palo Alto.
Yeah.
That was another one that almost broke the company.
Yep. And in a odd full circle, just recently we're in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, which is about 5 minutes from that fire company in Palo Alto.
A few blocks
drove by the street when we were there recently.
Look at that, the on-ride clutch.
Jeez. Blind Rage's arm all twisticated there.
That was one of Mantis's favorites in the early days, the on-ryo clutch. You know, this version of Ultramantis, of course.
Way different.
Yeah, very, very much so. A couple things you'll notice about him here, fans, some trivia bits for you. One, of course, his mask. You know, Ultramantis, there's sort of a wink-wink to Ultraman, the Japanese superhero. Look at the
nice
in-ring quebrada from Blind Rage. But his mask is actually an homage to a variation of the Kamen Rider, who's the second most popular Japanese superhero. So, kind of tying it all together there if you're a fan of the Japanese tokusatsu, so to speak. And of course, in these early days, Ultramantis' entire repertoire was based around the butterfly, the double underhook. It had like an insect theme to it. So you'll see him use the butterfly suplex, things like the tiger driver, everything that sort of has like an insect motif to it.
Yep. And on his entrance there, I believe that was Man or Astro Man.
You're right.
And
surf revival rock.
And the cape that Ultramantis can, same as the curtain,
exactly.
the exact
It
same material from the exact same AC Moore or wherever in Allentown was used as his cape.
You are absolutely right.
And yeah, way different. A few less tattoos as well.
That's right.
In this day, but definitely far removed from the Ultramantis Black we know now. Ultramantis Black and Blind Rage actually later went on to have a bit of the Dark Breed along with Hallowicked, maybe 2003, 4.
There's the butterfly.
Yep, there it is.
A tiger driver from Ultramantis. And a remarkably fast count from referee Mike Allred.
Either way. Blind Rage with a kick out there. Still in this one. Blind Rage's hair went through many incarnations as well, I believe, in the early days.
But he was always fairly pasty.
Yes.
This was not a man that got tan.
No, I don't think he was capable of it.
Trying to turn him. There he's almost got the butterfly lock. This hold was made famous by Men's Teo of Michinoku Pro and Big Japan Wrestling fame. The butterfly lock, a seated submission hold, also briefly used by Masahiro Chono. And you'll really see a lot of those sort of thematic elements in these early days that are carried through each of the characters, and especially here with Ultramantis.
Ultramantis Black, actually, he was still Ultramantis, went on to form a partnership with Mr. Zero, Ultra Zero, as they were very appropriately named.
Back in the days of the Tag World Grand Prix 2003. Right. Look at this.
Nice. Blind Rage again out. The experience coming through here.
Yeah, in fact, it was Ultra Zero in the finals of the very first Tag World Grand Prix held at St. John's. They faced Hallowicked and Blind Rage. They were the winners of the very first Tag World Grand Prix, the 2003 version, which is also a retro title that Smart Mark Video has released from the CHIKARA archives. I think it's paired up with one of the original International Invaders weekends.
Okay. The first appearance of Skyda, I believe that was.
That's right, yeah. And the other, I think, was the first appearance of Sumi Sakai.
Yes. Hallowicked kind of the
Look
also
at this.
the stand-up.
Niagara Driver, that's his calling card. But Ultramantis kicks out.
Very fast count. Hallowicked winning the first Tag World Grand Prix in the summer of 2003, and also the first Young Lions Cup in the autumn of 2002. Another one of the first standouts there.
He really was. He turned a lot of heads with that. There, one of his favorite moves, and that's going to do it. Virtually no opportunity to kick out with a 3 count like that.
Forget it.
Introducing the first team, the Gold Bond Mafia! And now, introducing their opposing team, the Black T-Shirt Squad!
A lot of backstory to this one, Bryce. Here it is, the main event.
Standing at 6 feet 1 inches tall and weighing in tonight at 234 pounds, he is a double dose of charisma and power, Colt Cabana! His partner stands at 6 feet tall and weighs in at 205 pounds. He is the best in the Midwest, CM Their partner, standing tonight at 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighing in at 274 pounds. Tell Raptors the hero, he's your hero, Chris Hero!
274.
Their opponents are in the corner to my right. First, standing in
No, I will not pull my
6
pants
feet
down.
3 inches
Shut up.
tall, weighing in at 275 pounds. He is the ghetto superstar, Turkey Don Montoya! His partner stands in at 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighs in at 199 3/4 pounds. He is the king of the independents, Reckless Youth! Their partner and team captain stands at 6 feet tall and weighs in at 191 pounds, Lightning Mike Quackenbush!
This is a handicap match. Yeah, where's your Speaking of handicaps, I see 3
We want to talk about a bunch of guys who've come a long way since this was recorded, Bryce. The Gold Bond Mafia is in the near corner here on the left side of your screen, fans. Of course, as you know, Chris Hero went on for a while to be co-trainer at CHIKARA Wrestle Factory, and also with a man named Claudio Castagnoli, became the first Campeones de Parejas in our company history.
4 years after this, and this match directly influenced his invitation to join the training staff at the CHIKARA Wrestle Factory. Also, the guy massaging his shoulders is a guy by the name of CM Punk, multiple time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Really worked his way up through the independents. I believe this was at least one of these three guys' debut appearance on the East Coast. I'm not sure, maybe more than one of them.
Yeah.
But this is before Punk and Cabana were out in Philadelphia regularly. And Hero as well was based out of Louisville, Kentucky at the time. Punk and Cabana based out of Chicago, yes. But they did all right in together, and you can see how far they've all come. In Chris Hero's ring gear alone, you can tell, has advanced many, many ways in these 8 years since.
Strange, I have not seen this match in some time. To see us, Chris and I, locking up here in the opening moments of the main event, you saw a little bit of the Johnny Saint persuasion, of course, a man who would influence both of our careers and factor in years later. At the time, one of the first conversations I ever had with Chris Hero for any reason was our mutual admiration of Johnny Saint, the legendary British technician, probably the finest counter wrestler in the history of our great sport. And at the time, we could barely even find video footage of him. I don't think we even fantasized that we would ever meet, let alone wrestle Johnny Saint, which of course would all come to pass years later. He even stood foot in a CHIKARA ring to Johnny Saint, as unbelievable as that would have seemed if you told me that on May 25th of 2002.
As well as Hero, I myself was lucky enough to referee a match between Johnny Saint and Chris Hero in England, as a matter of fact. I remember that was a really, really big deal to Hero, as well as Cabana on the apron, another big Johnny Saint fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
Who also has had the chance to wrestle him.
He has.
He has. Colt Cabana, who came up through the OVW developmental territory, briefly wrestled as Scotty Goldman on WWE SmackDown, and since back on the independents, but has come a long way from here as well. Colt Cabana enjoyed a 7.5-year absence from a CHIKARA ring. I think maybe the most.
That must be a record.
It has to be. Again, appeared for us in September of 2009 in Nashua, New Hampshire, as a surprise. His name picked out of the hat. And Cabana here, not a lot's changed, actually. But a much more youthful face there.
Well, that could be said of us all in this one.
Reckless Youth, not even clapping his hands. That was one of his favorites, if I remember correctly. I don't know why, but would just make the motion there. Reckless had just started this, the board shorts and the black T-shirt, I believe, in homage to his partners. But he, not too long after this, he started wrestling without a shirt. But
that's right.
He ditched the jean shorts and the beaded chain, the choker that Hero also wrestled for a long time in. But this is new into Reckless's this.
A lot of this was the result, of course, before dropping the Reckless Youth moniker in favor of the technician Tom Carter. Tom spent a long tenure in the WWF developmental system when it was based out of Memphis, an experience which I think, speaking on his behalf, made him miserable. And it really adversely affected the balance of his career. Of course, he is, for all intents and purposes, retired now. He was really never the same upon returning from that. And I think CHIKARA presented a really important creative outlet for him as he helped train, the initial sets of guys. You really see, I think, when he came back from the developmental system, they'd sort of beaten some of his passion for wrestling out of him, and he was a very different Reckless Youth.
And before that, he may be one of the most well-traveled, perhaps one of the most well-traveled guys on the independent scene. Reckless Youth wrestled in 20, 30 states all over the place. Right. That King of the Independents moniker did not fall out of the sky. But he had won titles everywhere he went: Texas, Florida, he got to California several times. He wrestled at Penn State in the summer of '98. Wrestled in a dark match, I believe, before a WWE Raw taping.
Yes. Yeah, he had a number of dark matches, especially during the original Monday Night Wars era. And if it was not for a non-compete, a 90-day non-compete that he was under in the wake of a dark match for the WWF, Reckless and I were scheduled to wrestle against each other on Monday Nitro. Here's a little bizarre trivia for you. But his non-compete clause precluded that, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, of course, one of the guys who was responsible for arranging that was Chris Canyon. And I got a very angry phone call from Chris Canyon saying, your match is canceled because of Reckless Youth's non-compete clause.
Thanks a lot, WWF.
So, of course, as we've sort of run down the gamut here, that leaves us with Dirty Don Montoya, the ghetto superstar, as he liked to refer to himself, and the third man here in the black T-shirt squad. Now, of course, we came to be known as the BTS, sort of. It was more of an off-camera thing that the rest of the wrestlers would call us, because when we would show up, we'd travel together, of course, for road trips. Even if we were scheduled as opponents for each other, we would travel together because we were from roughly the same geographical area. We always just happened to be wearing black T-shirts. So people, as kind of like a rib on us, would call us the Black T-shirt squad. And eventually, they started calling us that in the ring, too. We became the BTS in the ring as well. And as you can tell, even our ring gear each sort of featured more or less a black T-shirt.
Might as well run with it, you know? Those T-shirts are hard to come by there. That one Montoya's wearing.
Boy, is it ever.
Silhouettes of you guys on the back there.
That was the very first BTS T-shirt. That is something of an elusive collector's item. I don't know who would want to collect it, but...
Montoya and Punk here also met in singles action in Wall, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh, in the spring of 2003. Pretty much what we said about Palo Alto, you could say the same about Wall, except you had to drive a lot farther to get there.
And you had to bring the ring up a flight of steps.
Oh,
do you remember
that? Right. Yep. Driving across the state on a Saturday. But, it's all part of it, and I think a lot of those experiences, a lot of wrestling promotions, very few are formed out of the students or the locker room.
Right.
So all the students were on the same page. The first class, second class, third class doing this. I mean, and this is an experience. This is a bonding experience. This is paying your dues, as it's said. But everyone was in the same boat. So you could be miserable, or you can just enjoy your experience and have a good time. And I think for the most part, that's one thing the CHIKARA guys were known for, and that let a lot of CHIKARA's earlier acclaim, I think, in 2004, 2005 was under a lot of guys just getting out there and traveling, not worried about sleeping on floors and not even close to making your money back, but you just sit in cars for hours and hours to get out there, get a little exposure, get a little experience, make some contacts to lead to more shows. But there was definitely a time in the early days where a lot of us were out every weekend, never close to home. But I think that's something that came through together and all of the early CHIKARA locker room, definitely.
There is, in the very first CHIKARA yearbook, which was issued at the end of 2004, there's an interesting appendix that catalogs all the other non-CHIKARA shows that we sent talent to, and that list is staggering. When you see, and you're right, I think a lot of the early success can be attributed to that, the willingness to get out and travel, and a lot of that is lost these days. Look at that, incredible chain wrestling, but unable to, he couldn't take Montoya over. He tried that mare with everything he had, and of course Punk, who probably weighs maybe just a little more than half of what Montoya weighed. And it's certainly worth noting, I knew Montoya for many, many years. This is actually him at his slimmest.
Really? Wow.
Like, very close to the bottom weight. When he was at his heaviest, he was upwards of 380 pounds. And he's definitely nowhere near 380 here.
No. If I remember correctly, maybe it was that same time that you were with Blind Rage in Massachusetts. A scout for the WWF had said something to Montoya about dropping weight.
Yes.
And he got into ridiculous shape. He lost, 150 pounds?
Yeah, 135 pounds he lost.
Yeah, and then the same scout later saw him and basically I liked you better when you were heavy.
That's exactly right.
Pretty much Montoya gave a year of his life to getting in shape for this guy, and so goes the wrestling business, I guess. But Montoya, the last time I saw him, was closer to the heavy end of that, I think.
Yeah, for health reasons, he'd had some kind of surgery that caused him to lose even more weight. But I think he sort of ping-pongs back and forth between the two extremes of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Colt Cabana there, I think, was complaining that there was a Kit Kat in the ring.
I think he was saying he deserves a break. I think that's where the Kit Kat came into that, but, it's the same Colt. Oh, now Montoya's going surfing. That's a much lighter surfboard, a much heavier surfer there. But, it's interesting to see these guys, the CHIKARA students, but as well, like we said, these six, where they've come from. You see CM Punk in these, these basketball shorts, and Hero in these, I don't know what those are to call these cargo pants, possibly hiding someone in there. I don't even know.
They all have certainly come a long way. Chris Hero, of course, he had a tenure in TNA, and internationally renowned wrestler these days.
Yeah.
Punk and Cabana, of course, with their stints at Punk's much more successful.
Sure.
Unfortunately for Cabana, in the WWE, it's tough to imagine him playing in some of the largest arenas in the world when you look at the humble beginnings of it all here. 1313 Linden Street. And you know what I've done since then, Bryce?
Yes.
I shaved.
Did you? I was gonna ask about the blonde highlights. It was the elephant in the room. I had to know what inspired that, where that idea came from.
Previous, it's actually the tail end of something else.
Okay.
I had, for a brief period of time, my hair was blonde. I dyed it for Halloween one year.
In an interview, right?
I taped an interview at that time. It was still blonde. I kept it blonde until it grew out, but then it was actually, I got so sick of it, I dyed my hair back its original color. So this is, if anything, the highlights of the other color.
Okay, so this is your real color hair growing out.
That's right.
Okay.
Because I just couldn't stand being a blonde anymore.
Yes. And the mustache, of course.
Right.
I mean, that means business. That's what that's all about.
That's how you knew I was serious.
Right.
When the
Not
guys
screwing around anymore.
Right, they thought, is this first Chikara show going to be serious?
Yeah.
And then they're like, look at that facial hair.
Well, quite the bridge there, huh?
Well, thank you. I still have, to this day, those green pants somewhere. You know, a lot of them, I auctioned some off for charity. I gave some away. Actually, traded some away for a custom action figure of myself to a fan who made a really cool action figure for me.
Cool.
But I have always kept this original outfit because I think you've probably heard some discussion of this among the original guys. We had talked about on the 10th anniversary of this show, all wearing our original Chikara ring outfits for a match. So I have always, I don't know that they fit, but I've always kept those green pants.
We'll find out in 2 years.
I guess
that is the most talked about thing about 2012, I think. In all of the media, the 10th anniversary of the first Chikara show, I think that's going to be the big one.
Will we do it like the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania where it really isn't?
I know, it's the 24th anniversary. No, please, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep May 25th, 2012 open just in case.
Well, we do have a trainee who's a math major, so I guess he'll keep us keep us on. A very odd application of the cravat there. In later years, Chris Hero was quite the master of the cravat. Not so much in that application there.
No, I didn't even have the fingers hooked there. It was easily escapable.
How things have changed over the years.
I don't want to offend you, Mike, but you were, would you say, a little bit more lightning in these days? If I may say. I do not, last thing I want to do, but, you know, your style has changed a little bit.
Sure it has. Absolutely.
A lot of stuff. Maybe the Quack and Smasher. We don't see that so much anymore.
I haven't done the Quack and Smash since Pittston. Do you remember?
Oh wow, yeah. How about that?
Poor Larry Sweeney fell victim to that.
Do remember that? Yep. A lot of springboard to the floor stuff. Not as often.
No, my style has radically evolved, even since Chikara. You know. If you think about it, my first match of any real note from May 20th, 1994, to this here in May of 2002, even in
that much time again.
Right, yeah. My style has evolved quite a bit. A lot of different influences over my style. Like you just started to see some of the influence of the British world of sports style here. You know, now I've had the chance to train with some of those guys, and I'm really more well-versed in it, and I even train other people in that style, so... Yeah. Obviously, my style's changed a lot, and sadly, you know, both Tom and Don are no longer really active, so in terms of the way things evolved...
We were talking on the way here about what a disservice that is to the wrestling industry. Both those guys, I feel, have much to offer. And you talked about there's Tim Walker, Pro Wrestling Illustrated photographer.
Yes,
early friend of Chikara.
Absolutely, he was there to cataloged for posterity all of our early events.
And went on a few road trips with him. We went to Maine.
He was a road tripper.
He was. He and Carolina Jim of Smart Mark Video, another ring announcer of later.
If it wasn't for those early excursions to Maine, we would have never crossed paths with Robbie Ellis.
This is true. Very true.
Who came to play at Chikara in 2003.
And several times since then. We talked briefly about the WWFE missing the boat with Mike Kruel, but I think that is multiplied exponentially in the case of Colt Cabana. That is my opinion. This guy, even in a conversation, oozes charisma and wrestling skill, knows his way in any kind of situation in wrestling, and that's a guy they say they don't want in their fold. Like that makes me think something's wrong.
They are so nearsighted and narrow-minded in their view of wrestling. Colt Cabana, who should absolutely be a major star on the world stage, slipped through their fingers.
Such a memorable name, too. Colt Cabana, and then they made him Scotty Goldman. Eye poke there by CM Punk.
Foolhardy.
Yep.
Foolhardy.
CM Punk in these days, many run-ins with hair dye, I believe. Maybe it's several different incarnations we're seeing here in this night. Chopping away on Punk.
Bringing the fire.
Yeah, also a few tattoos ago, CM Punk, much like Ultramantis.
That's right. Well, I think before the dumb tattoo convention came to town, these guys didn't know what to do with their expendable income. But boy, did that solved it for them.
It was a traveling convention as well.
Yeah.
Montoya now all over Punk. Big atomic drop, got him way up there.
I'm surprised not to see
Schoolboys were a big part of the show.
Yeah. Montoya was really big. I'm surprised not to see it. Montoya was really big on pantsing people.
I think it's coming.
Is it?
If I remember correctly, I think. Oh, Hero accidentally kicking Punk there. Punk and Hero with a legendary, one in particular, 93-minute wrestling match in February 2003 in the Midwest. Drop toe holds him right in there. Reckless was a big fan of this sort of horseplay as well.
Yes, he loved to sort of embarrass the opponents with those types of shenanigans. You can see there he's kind of lounging around while Punk is still trapped in the ropes.
Mugging for photos. Crowd coming alive here. This, a little bit we saw the ring introduction. Wait a second, Montoya directing traffic. There we go. Oof. The six of you, were a lot of what I think got people in the door this first night. Punk, Cabana, Hero had a buzz on the internet. The early days of the internet.
Midwest East Coast feel.
Sure. And it was a big deal when those cross-pollinated in that day. And in the early days of the internet affecting wrestling, this just was 2002. These guys had a buzz, came in, and I think a lot of people came in to see these guys and the known names of yourself, Reckless, and Montoya in the area. So it's kind of a neat meshing, and as well, the main event of a CHIKARA show, very appropriate that it was a trios match, a six-man tag, which has really become a big part of the landscape of what CHIKARA is known for, is the multiple-man matches.
Yeah. In these early days, I think the overall direction of CHIKARA was less clear. And, there, especially such a fresh crew of people, there was a lot of let's throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. But one thing that was certainly foreshadowed here was this six-man tag that really stayed with us even to this day as a key to our formula.
Right. And all six of these guys, obviously, later appeared for CHIKARA. Like I said, Cabana took him 7.5 years, but all these guys did make multiple appearances. Reckless, a semi-regular at times. Montoya making the off appearance, and Hero was a regular for several years. So this really did. No one knew at the time, but definitely shaped the CHIKARA. You see, remember the corner? Remember the Danger Corner, Mike?
That's right.
It's in its early incarnation, but by 2004, that foam that held the cable together, that tape went almost halfway down the apron, if I remember.
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of trivia if you don't know what we're talking about here, fans. Maybe you'll see it as Cabana staggers toward that corner. There's 4 corners in a ring, and one of them is referred to as the Danger Corner. And the Danger Corner is where, as the cable goes all the way around and meets back where it started, there's a set of brackets that hold it in place to make the loop complete of the top, middle, and bottom ropes. And then that's covered with an additional layer of foam because the brackets are sharp. So as the ropes would become loose from repeated use, we'd have to cut that off, open the brackets up, and tighten the ropes. Literally, you take the cable and yank them tighter, and then quick clip them back shut while it's taut. And Bryce is exactly right. The Danger Corner would grow and grow, and there would be so many of those clips there, and they were so sharp they would at times cut their way through the foam and become exposed. And the last thing you would ever want is to be rammed back first, or forbid face first, into those exposed metal brackets, because you'd be cut up.
Yep. A lot of rings feature actual rope,
not cable.
More. Yeah, this is cable covered in foam, covered in electrical tape.
That's right, airline cable.
There you see it there. There's the Danger Corner.
Yeah, you can see the additional bits there where it's doubled up.
Hero with his homage to Tracy Smothers there, something he's done many, many times since. Very instrumental in his growth as a wrestler in the Midwest.
Definitely.
Hero as well, before a lot of guys were doing it, was traveling to Europe. 2001, I think, even. 2, 3, he was gone many times. Got a lot of seasoning, and that obviously affected his style very greatly.
He really was the American independent wrestler to break Europe open, so to speak.
Definitely.
I don't know that people are really aware of that, but It's quite common now to see American independent wrestlers in Europe, and that was an extreme rarity. It's definitely all throughout the 90s, into the new millennium.
Yep.
And it was really Hero that broke that open for people, including myself.
Yeah, he would go over there just for a month and traveled I think he's wrestled in many. There you go. There it is.
And a DDT, yeah, always.
And
I don't know that he ever won any matches by pantsing people, but boy, did he like to pants people.
yeah. Luckily, Punk was wearing he tried to drop toe hold with his shorts and his ankles there. Cabana coming in, the Gold Bond Mafia, not they didn't have the regular teaming experience that the Black T-Shirt Squad had here, but with their powers combined here, working well, is cutting the ring apart here.
Do you know how they got that name?
The Gold Bond Mafia. Do you know?
I do know.
Okay, it involves the powder, right?
That's
the Gold
right.
Bond powder. I remember T-shirts, and I think they're them and even Ace Steel, I believe, frequent use of that Gold Bond powder.
And they used to like to prank people too. They would put the powder in your clothes and stuff like that while you were not in the room.
Yep.
So that was another one that was sort of like their off-camera name that people jokingly called them that, and then that's what they were referred to as forevermore.
Yeah, they like you guys sold T-shirts as well. That I think maybe even Scrap Iron Adam Pierce spent some time in the Gold Bond Mafia, perhaps.
You're right.
Back in that day.
Strange at the beginning. I don't know if you heard that. Obviously, there were some audio issues. Unusual to hear the Black T-Shirt Squad not come out to Kung Fu Fighting.
Carl Douglas. That's what I was expecting that, as a matter of fact. I was thinking about
that was an audio mistake.
Yeah, Barry Manilow and Carl Douglas together at last in Allentown in 2002. But no, not to be.
That's a really unusual. That was a theme that I used for a long time called Just a Hero. That was from Michinoku Pro. Very unusual not to hear us come out to Kung Fu Fighting.
Yeah.
Attempted slingshot sunset flip. Wow.
Change his mind.
Yeah, I'm not going to lay under that. Side Russian leg sweep with a float through Punk. Very quick here. Remarkable rapidity in the slingshot senton by Punk.
And Montoya, though, we mentioned about his weight, very agile for a big guy.
Definitely.
He could hang with the best of them there. Would take to the air many occasions. And Montoya, maybe not necessarily did all the traveling and claim that you and Reckless might have done, but very much a very capable hand inside a wrestling ring for many, many years. All kinds of matches. I think, like you said, he's essentially retired as well, I think, much like Reckless Youth.
Yeah, he had a corkscrew leg drop that, regardless of what his weight at the time happened to be, he always performed with great accuracy, and he was also known for a frog splash.
Yeah, oh boy, that doesn't sound like fun.
And here it is, the evolving submission
There it
hold.
is.
One more, only Chris Hero is left to be accounted for.
I'm going to suspect a cravat. I'm not sure. I can't really see there. Maybe you remember.
Nah, tough to tell. That photo actually was the photo that made it into Pro Wrestling Illustrated from the first CHIKARA event, was of that puzzle-like submission hold.
Yes.
And enough people were affected that Montoya just slipped right out. And bad things are about to happen.
Watch them all go down. Very, very rare now to see a CHIKARA trios match with 0 mask guys in it. Seriously, I think that's to be noted
bit
here.
Of trivia, yes.
I'm sure it may have come down the pike once somewhere along the way, but just watching this match and thinking about that, the 0 of these 6 guys wear masks. I don't think you'd see that today in a CHIKARA.
Fist and team uppercut from the finals of King of Trios.
Yeah,
that
might
might
be
be one of the only ones.
That's true. That's true.
Here comes the in-ring Asai moonsault of Reckless Youth.
Pretty much any ring he can hit that from.
Yes. Didn't matter if the ropes were loose or tight.
Guiding the people to right where he wants them.
Direct traffic.
10.
Put him in the corner.
I think he said 10 in the corner even. He was calling a shot.
That was very much Tom's disposition. He would just announce it. He didn't care.
Not a big sugarcoater. Even I remember in the training days of the Wrestle Factory, he was very free with his opinion.
Sure, if you stank, he would tell you. You stink.
With excellent adjectives.
Yep.
Sometimes drizzling, I believe, was one of his favorite adjectives. Well, he ate a Snickers bar.
Yep.
Oh, look at
Black
Punk.
Maestro by Punk. Oh, I thought that was 3 there for a second. Questionable officiating. Uppercut turned into a backslide.
Montoya got him deep there. Yep, only 2. Working up. Inside cradle by Punk.
Succession of pinning combinations here, but near falls.
Oh, double clothesline. Both down, back to square one. Reckless and Cabana hammering away here in the corner.
And as they say, the referee has certainly lost all control here. Wow,
Great.
quick counter on top of the counter.
Breaking down in Allentown. Reckless so quick, so many styles. Reckless even returned to CHIKARA in 2005, 2006. Had some great matches. Eric Cannon, Rorschach. Even in that, still had it. A great addition to the locker room. Brandon Kuma had a match with in Reading.
That's right. And certainly noteworthy with Rorschach and Eric Cannon, both guys who had idolized Reckless youth.
Yep, very much so.
Chris Hero there, up all the way around, coming back, counter wrestling.
European style on full display here.
That's exactly right.
Pair of forearms there. Guys, with a very, I think May of 2007, a very epic singles match in Hallowicked.
Indeed we did. Long time coming was that one.
Yep. Seeing be a bit of a precursor here now. Cabana, the opportunist. Pulling him off. Cabana through the ropes. Very quick for a big guy, too.
Sends Reckless into the corner.
Double knees.
That was Reckless's calling card.
It was.
Picking him up. Remember the Colt 45 was his backbreaker finisher.
That's it.
The crowd agrees.
Yikes. I think perhaps you and Reckless had been to the Midwest, but I don't think that they had been to the East Coast.
No, I don't believe so.
The East Coast, and these are very broad terms, by the way.
Sure, yeah.
Allentown, Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York. Yeah, that's all the East Coast.
In wrestling.
Yeah, the Midwest can be Detroit, Chicago, Indianapolis, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, all these places. Louisville.
Backdrop.
There's that garage door we spoke of earlier.
That's right, yeah, you can see
DJ Skittle standing guard at the... Whoa, geez.
Looking for the sunset bomb.
That was the very dangerous area of the floor.
That's where that wooden lip was between the concrete and the padded area. Reckless hooks him, and he's got a DDT. Hopefully they landed on the padded side, not the concrete side.
Hopefully did not cross that electrical tape either. That is off limits. But everybody kind of keeping their eye on the carnage here, losing track. Oh, jeez. A little nauseous here on the camera. We're up now going over to see what's going on. There's that very dangerous area of the floor.
It looks like they were on the more dangerous side.
Yeah, that's concrete there on the other side of where that tarp meets. What do you say?
You can hear Tom, as ever, unabashed in his opinion about whatever. But I think he was saying that was a terrible idea.
Yeah. Montoya now trying to get this one back on track, suplexing Punk. Pulling him up. Not sure what he's got in mind here, but just throwing Punk around like a baby.
Sandwich him, clothesline in the corner.
Rikishi, they're yelling, I believe. Very sign of the times.
There was definitely some kids there from the Children's Home of Easton, a local orphanage, and they were big Rikishi fans.
They were. We went on to do a show at the Children's Home of Easton.
Indeed we did.
Spring of 2003. Punk
Came
back
around with a chin breaker.
That was a very popular counter in that day, as I remember.
It was. That was sometimes called the Jackie Chan.
Yes, it was. No relation to Matrix-style moves. Another timely reference.
Underneath goes Montoya, looking for the doctor bomb.
Boom!
You'll really see the influence of the All Japan heavyweights on Montoya's in-ring style. Of course, that was Dr. Death Steve Williams' patented move, the doctor bomb.
Hero with the save there on the pin. That one would have been over. You waiting for him. A couple of them do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Modest minority.
Yeah.
The Tornado Bulldog. I don't think I had realized until just watching this, but I really my end of this match, a majority of it was against Chris Hero.
Yeah.
Strange foreshadowing of things that would come in years down the line. Quick conversion there by Hero to the power bomb.
Oh! Danger corner. Pulling you back. Hero still, I believe, used the hangman's clutch in these days.
Sure. This is a weird pile driver variant that he used to use.
Yeah. Oof! Almost a turned around version of QD2. Almost.
Yeah.
He's facing away from you. There's the goods right pulling to the middle of the ring, got something in mind here. Big fan of the senton, even in this day.
Yes.
Hero.
Those green pants of mine, there's a Japanese kanji there on the side. That is the kanji for Inazuma, the Japanese word for lightning. And those were made for me by a Maryland independent named Ramblin' Rich Myers.
Oh, yeah.
Come on,
The Holy
Ramblin' Rich
Rollers?
Myers. Yeah.
Earl the Pearl?
Yeah, I remember sending him the design, and he's like, that's really, really complicated, that Japanese kanji. And for all I know, he might have simplified it. Now it says something else like onion dip.
Yeah.
Don Montoya taken to the air, as the big man often did.
Shots from Cabana there.
Scoop to the victory roll, maybe the reverse Frankensteiner?
Oh,
No, Cabana.
Everyone scouted.
He knew that was coming.
No thanks.
That was not the first time I had tried that against Colt Cabana, and he was wise to escape from it.
Trying to use his strength advantage there.
Up we go, a second time.
Oh, spiked him. I think the counter there threw him off. Didn't see it coming, but Reckless right on top of things. 2K1.
His signature move, the Northern Lights 2K1. Reckless Youth crushes him.
That's it.
And that'll do it for the first night of CHIKARA wrestling action.
You know what? This may be our first show, but these three guys, for little or no money, came a hell of a long way to put on a good match for you people here tonight. Hold on, just 1 second. I got the reputation on the independents for traveling all over the place for nickels and dimes just to get my name out there and entertain the people every night. I didn't get the name King of the Independents because I put myself over everywhere I went. These guys, the way I look at it, are the new shining stars of the independents. And these guys deserve just as much respect as guys like myself, Montoya, and Mike Quackenbush. Because they don't say they need a plane ticket. They don't say they need $500. They say, where's the show? Let's give it our all and give these people what they want. Cool down, Mafia. I work for you for a nickel and dime and bust my butt out here to put you guys over anytime. And I think these people will like that too. Come on in the ring. You guys deserve the respect that you guys got tonight. From us and from the fans. Come on, people, get up for them! Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for coming out to support CHIKARA tonight. I hope that we made your $5 worth it, and I look forward to seeing you again every Friday night. Thank you very much. Thank you guys very much. Locker room, every one of you boys who busted your butt, thank you very much. You made me proud. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
21st, 8 p.m. bell time, right here